explore a question that I reflect on a lot, which is morality, and how that links to healing or self development. And self development is very self focused, it's all about how can I grow and reach my highest potential. And healing is trying to fix the wounds that have been created from suffering. And so, to me, there is a connection between healing and morality. And the reason there is some connection there is because healing looks at your own suffering. Healing looks at how to heal from suffering. When you've experienced healing, you do question the existence and the purpose of suffering and the existence of evil and why it exists in the world. And so that leads on to thinking about morality and moral questions such as why does evil exist? How can we understand and comprehend the dark world that we live in, or the darkness that exists in people? And I think previously it was more common to think about moral questions and ethics, and that was perhaps because immorality was right in front of people. When you went outside, you would see the clear, visible inequality and oppression of people. And so, scholars before would ask themselves questions about the existence of evil and what is morality and how we can improve the world. Whereas the lifestyle we live today is a separation from suffering and other people's suffering and oppression. We don't really go out in the world and faced with the oppression and injustice of other people. You'd have to turn on the TV screen and it feels very far away. Oppression and injustice feels so far away from us. And so we don't really think about it, and we don't see how we are the cause of other people's suffering, or we can live with ourselves in a world where there's a high contrast of inequality. We're able to navigate that, and that is because when we go out in the world, we're not there witnessing the extreme poverty, we're not experiencing inequality of classes, or we're not seeing slaves when we walk out the door. We're not seeing how we are privileged compared to the laborers. We're not seeing all of these injustices when we go outside. And so we don't tend to think about these things. We don't tend to reflect on evil and suffering. And one of the laws of life is that whatever you give out in the world returns back to you. And we have to acknowledge our place in other people's suffering, and we're not removed from that. And in the self-development world, it's all about the self, and it's completely individualistic in the sense that it removes any connection to other people. The only connection it has to other people is building better relationships, but all those relationships are relationships that benefit you. It doesn't talk about the relationships you have where you're affecting other people, or our connection to humanity as a whole. So it's disconnected from the community or from humanity. But when we talk about healing, healing requires connection. Healing requires connection to yourself, connection to other people, connection to the spiritual world. And for me, healing is not separate from humanity as well. Healing to me is not an individual pursuit. It requires connection. And healing to me is not only how do I heal from the wounds other people have caused me, but it's also becoming a person who isn't wounding other people. It is becoming a person that can heal from the wounds that have been inflicted on them, but also being very mindful of preventing harm. And so to me, morality does come into healing. And I think that there needs to be a balance where we're not going on the extreme ends of selfishness or martyrdom, where you're completely just self-focused or you're completely self-sacrificing. The perfect place is it strikes a balance between those two, where you are pursuing your self-growth and focusing on your individual goals, but also that you're not completely disconnected from the community. And when you're completely focused on self-development, what can happen is that you can be high performing, you can be very disciplined, you can be successful, but you can lack healing and you can still operate from your inner wounds. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're healed, it means that you're high performing, and it's all on the outcomes that you produce. But you could be broken, you could be really broken inside, and not be completely free, because freedom requires freedom from the validation of others, from the fear of other people. And so you could be successful, but you could still live in a lot of fear. You could live for validation, you could live for praise, and all of these things. So the success is there, but internally there's still turmoil. And so when you look at healing as a complete model, it is when you look at trying to reach your potential, which is what self-development is, the greatest potential you could reach within yourself is not just success, but also mastery of yourself, becoming completely free of other people and experiencing that inner peace and inner joy. You could be successful, but you lack that inner peace, or you could have inner peace but lack success. And so what we want to aim towards is building a balance between those two. And so you've got three different areas. You've got self-development, you've got healing, and then you have morality. And the reason why I'm adding morality to healing is because when you look at healing, healing requires connection to other people. And one of the aspects of self-development is spiritual growth. And spiritual growth entails connecting with your inner self, your purpose, your values. And when it comes to purpose, it means that you contribute to society. It means that you make a difference to society. When you look at healing, you require connection to other people. You could require fixing your relationships with people. And a symptom of being unhealed is your lack of healthy relationships with other people and your disconnection to the world. And with morality, morality is asking the question of how can I not cause harm to other people? What is harm? And how can I prevent causing suffering to other people? And to me, that is a part of healing, because healing is not just preventing harm to yourself, but it's preventing harm to other people. And we live in a world where we do cause harm to other people, but we are free from any responsibility from that suffering. And it is not to say that we need to be so active, but it is something that we need to be mindful of. And your greatest potential is not just outward success, but it is also inward. It is also success as a civilization and as a community. We live in groups, we live in communities, and we affect other people. When we heal, it isn't just a positive impact on us, it's a positive impact on those around us. And when we're operating from trauma, it isn't just us that's affected, we affect other people. And so what I believe is that healing encompasses the self and others, and it is not just something that we do individually. When we look at how we heal with people, we heal through people. And the reason, when you look at therapy, the reason why you need another person is because that is the connection. It is through that connection with that therapist that you also experience healing. It's when you speak to your friend or your family members and they listen and they receive you that you experience healing. So it's not empty of other people, and it's not disassociated from other people. And there is one level where you heal and where you're not hurting yourself. The other aspect of healing is where you're not harming other people. And so I'm trying to reconcile my thoughts on morality and my thoughts on healing, and what connection there is between those two. Because when I look at healing that is required globally, because I think that we do require global healing, because there is a lot of oppression and injustice that groups of people are facing. And so healing is not something that we need to do as an individual, it's also something we need to do as a group. And when I look at the similarities between what is required when we're talking about global healing, it is very similar to what we require when we need healing as an individual. Just like we need justice and boundaries, ending oppression or ending suffering is important to healing. That is the same as global healing. And so, justice for me is one of the core elements of healing. Without justice, healing cannot be fully completed, and especially when the oppression is continuing. If you're in oppression or injustice, you can't be healing whilst there is still current oppression and injustice. You have to end that. You have to remove yourself from that environment, and you have to remove yourself away from that oppression or injustice, and then you can start your journey on healing. But as long as oppression and injustice is still being committed, you can't heal. And so I'm not just concerned with healing. I'm at a point where I'm not just concerned about healing myself, but also healing others.